We've been looking at the data, we've been looking at the analytics, and we found a secret on the blockchain. The last time this happened, Bitcoin pumped. What are we talking about? You have to watch to discover, because it's time to discover crypto.
Capital flight is coming to the United States. The dollar is going to zero.
And that's what makes Bitcoin so special.
You have to have gone through a couple cycles to understand.
Once the price is able to clear this level, the breakout is on its way.
This is your indication to jump in now.
That's right. The last time this happened, Bitcoin pumped 50%. We got an excellent video today. We're going to talk about the ETF news. We have a Bloomberg analyst coming in live. We're going to talk to them in about 20 minutes. And we got some giveaways to dole out as well. We're in some trades.
Yeah.
I'm in profit. We might have a long riding trade for Tim over here.
Yep.
And we got Drew on the ones and twos. How are we all feeling today?
We're doing good. I'm excited. There's a lot of reasons to be bullish today. Last night, the bulls did get a little wrecked. If you were sitting along and you didn't take profit and you weren't ready for it, you might have got wrecked, especially if you were in a leverage trade. But today is the day, DZ. I think the bears, anyone who's holding out that the top is in, you might get wrecked here very soon.
All right, the top is in, and I just want to go ahead and say I am in a trade right now. I just opened it a little bit ago. If we want to share my screen here, just opened it. So I've been trying to keep the streak of green trades alive.
Come on.
And so I'm coming in and I'm showing you the trade today. So I'm not going to count the ones from yesterday because I didn't open them on stream. But yeah, we're riding some green candles. But let's get right into the stories here. Bitcoin in play. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and just give the people what they want. We're talking about this secret. We're talking about this little tidbit of information that we've seen and we've discovered here. The last time this happened, Bitcoin pumped 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, what the heck are we talking about? Are we blowing smoke up people's you-know-what?
No, we're not. And we'll explain in depth why we are not. What we're talking about that's really, really bullish, it's not the ETF. In fact, it has nothing to do with the ETF. It might have a little to do with the ETF. They might be doing it because of the ETF. But it has to do with Tether printing. And I do need people to fact check me on this because I heard it from, this is offhand. This isn't my brain saying this. It was somebody else's brain. But I heard someone say that $2 billion, which is what just got printed in the last 24 hours, was the highest 24-hour minting by Tether in history. I don't know if that's true. So you guys fact check me. What I do know is that's a boatload of money. And what I also know is that has started another upward trajectory of market cap for Tether. And let's go back and look. Let's talk about the times that this has happened in the past. If you want to go ahead and share my screen, you guys see right here, this is on CoinGecko, Tether price chart, but we're looking at the market cap actually instead. You can see, obviously, like what you want to see in a stable coin. Usually it's sideways, it's boring, but every now and then you see these spikes. Well, let's look at those dates that those spikes kind of start. The first one come in right here around October 17th, 16th, 18th, that area. Well, in case you do not know what happened around that time, let's go look at the price of Bitcoin and look at October 16th, 17th, 18th, that time period. Oh, look at that. That is the period of time right when Bitcoin took off right here from about $26,700, and we just shot to the upside. Of course, we kept going. The title, I'll say this, guys. The last time this happened, I said 50% because I went with a middle zone. The truth is you could probably make an argument we actually went up 70%. What am I talking about here? Well, I'm more talking about the 43% right here that happened back in November. But if you keep going up, even all the way to where we have topped out now for Bitcoin total, that's 72%. Here's what I'm going to say, though. Some of you are going to say, Tim, is that really Tether that did that? Is the Tether print what caused us to pump so much? Maybe that has a lot more to do just with us getting really excited about the ETF. Well, I wanted to make sure you guys understood. We went even further back to the time when it started to explode up here. Let's look at the last one back on March 10th, March 11th. Let's go back to Bitcoin. What was Bitcoin doing during March 10th, March 11th? Oh, that's right. It had just finished plummeting after a big pullback and went on to rally. This is where we get the 50% from. It went on to rally 50. Actually, 50 was low. Why did I say 50? We need to change it to like 60 pretty much, because this one was 59% to the upside after this print. Historically, I'm just showing you 2023, people. Go back, check it yourselves. Every time we see Tether printing more or minting more coins, Bitcoin is following with a big pump to the upside. Are we going to see a 50% pump to the upside? That probably is a little too high for my liking at this point, but I do think a new pump is coming. 50K more than likely is days, if not only a week or two away.
All right, so I'm going to give you a good scenario and a bad scenario, kind of laying out the game theory of this tether print for $2 billion. Here's this one's from D. Hoppin, Daniel A. Chopin, I think. BlackRock and retail investors alike are all buying billions in Bitcoin ahead of ETF approval, leading Tether to print $2 billion in under 8 hours to meet the demand. I would say this is very bullish. We got a lot of buy pressure. Here's the scary scenario. Okay, this is the one that this could be designed to shake you out of the market. All right, Tether print, and then you go long. But instead, they don't buy, they sell, perpetuals here instead, and you lose the money that you end up making. And you can't believe that it's falling because of the ETF. In fact, you give up, but then the ETF gets announced and it pumps. So then you chase the candles, but then the ETF gets delayed. Bitcoin plummets $37,000. Your last money is gone, and then you give up. So that would be the scary scenario. If there's a conspiracy here to shake you out of your Bitcoin, that would be how it plays out. I'm leaning a little bit more optimistic. I think this is $2 billion printed for demand. And we're going to talk about the ETF demand and what the ETF will do to the markets when we're talking to James from Bloomberg in about 15 minutes, everybody. But make sure you stick around for that. Let's just get into the markets here. Well, we'll do the 50K in play here. $50,000 target in play if Bitcoin Spot ETF approval is granted. This came from what Crypto Face named Blue Eyes White Dragon, also known as Crypto Recruiter, also known as Dan, also known as, just one of the main voices in Cardano here. And he's saying it might be poised for an upward breakout of the symmetrical triangle. And the breakout can cause Bitcoin to touch 50K once this approval comes in. And also, he was looking at the Bollinger Bands indicator here and confirmed the low volatility in the market. The gap between the upper and the lower makes up this indicator has narrowed since the year began. But, today is only the 5th. So, just maybe, hey, we've seen longer Bollinger Band stretches. I will say that. We do have a large number of options expiring today. Today is Friday, Tim, for Bitcoin and Ethereum. What does the data point to for Bitcoin and Ethereum? Well, according to the data, 22,000 Bitcoin and 250,000 Ethereum options are going to expire today. And we're looking at this. So that all these options set to expire. The maximum loss point for Bitcoin, 43,500, upwards of about $1 billion in notional value here. But for ETH, the max loss point is 2,300. How do you feel about those levels, 43.5 and 2,300?
It makes a lot of sense as to what we're doing. So, of course, Bitcoin was above it. We were up above 44. Right now, we're right at 43,500. We're at 43,555. Just so you know, prices like to get sucked wherever they are. They get sucked back towards these levels. So for Ethereum being below it, it's at 22.27. It's probably actually going to get sucked up a little bit today. Don't be surprised if Bitcoin kind of stays around this 43.5 area. We're probably, in the chart section, we'll take a little more in-depth look, but this isn't surprising to me and actually explains why in all the bullishness that's about to happen. Of course, the other one I will probably mention on later, but remember, today is the day. It's only $10 million, but BlackRock is buying more seed funding for their ETF. There's a plethora of bullish news right now. So the suppression of price, staying close to that max pain point of the futures, of the expiry, makes a lot of sense. But watch when that kind of happens and it gets released like a floodgate, like a dam that gets broken and the water just gushes. I think we're going to be seeing some really big bullish candles today and tomorrow.
Like that video of the dam that got opened after years of disuse and it's just mud pouring out and soot. All right. Well, speaking of the dams breaking here, Bitcoin Whales dam has broken, the largest spike in 100K transactions in 2 years. So we're seeing a large movements with Bitcoin, and we haven't seen this for a long time. 16,900 large transactions have happened just in the past 24 hours. Like I said, multi-year high nearly here. And then Bitcoin recently dipping below 41K and saying we're seeing a combination of factors here, including the contrarian report from Matrixport and the elevated levels of leverage in the market. And so we're seeing massive movement from the big whales out there. But speaking of the whales, we're seeing tons of movement, folks. Record-breaking $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin leaving exchanges in a single day amid momentum halt. What does that say to you? 1.2 leaving exchanges. Is this making you really bullish, or are you just really not too concerned?
Yeah, no, it's another bullish flash there. What that is communicating is people saying, I do not want to sell. I'm removing this off. That's removing exit liquidity for the bears. So it's it is a very good sign that price should go to the upside. These people have confidence. They're just going to sit and wait for a good pump. Now, I am a little interested in the details of them pulling it off right now. Like, it would make sense to have pulled it off here a couple weeks ago, unless they plan on putting it back on here in a couple weeks, when more than likely there will be a $50 to potentially even $53,000 price. You would think then it's going to flow back on, but we'll have to see. This makes me bullish for now, though.
Now let's just play out some scenarios here. Let's assume, all right, so we got over $1 billion being pulled off exchanges.
Yeah.
The cool rumor is, related to the ETFs.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Is there any possibility? Because I'm gonna walk the chat through this situation here. If that were the case, what seems to be the exchange all these asset managers are using? They've listed it in their surveillance sharing agreement. They're using NASDAQ and Coinbase.
Yeah.
So if we are seeing net flow leaving exchanges, and we want to connect it to the ETFs, we would expect it to be from not Binance, right? We would expect outflows from Coinbase. Well, what are we actually seeing? Are we seeing outflows from, decentralized exchanges, overseas exchanges, or are we seeing outflows from the American company Coinbase, who is, connected to these ETFs? What does the article say? Well, let's look. What do we want it to be? We want it to be Coinbase, right? We want Coinbase to have all the outflows here. Well, let's look, everybody. On Wednesday alone, 28,000 Bitcoin left these exchanges, reaching a staggering 1.2 billion. The massive single outflow is the largest recorded since December 14th, which made sense. You said, well, it made sense weeks ago for this to happen.
Yep.
Well, it did happen weeks ago, but it also happened today. Notably, the outflow was particularly pronounced on Coinbase, custodian of the 12 proposed spot Bitcoin ETFs. Over the past few days, they've seen an outflow exceeding 30,000 Bitcoin, the largest outflow since May of this year. May, of course, we had all those collapses. This withdrawal brings the exchange balance to 411,000 Bitcoin, the lowest amount of Bitcoin Coinbase has had since May 2015, nearly 9 years ago, nearly a decade ago. So Coinbase is nearly at a decade low for the amount of Coinbase they have available. And we have a record outflow leaving Coinbase, and we have all the BlackRock and their friends and their cronies using Coinbase. Does this smell like a perfect storm?
It is. You're painting a really bullish picture there, DZ.
All right, I'm feeling bullish, Drew. I mean, you're the one who wears tinfoil more than most. I mean, was I too tinfoily there?
No, man, you're very level-headed. And, the tether print was very interesting on March 10th. That was actually the day that SVB went under and the USDC depegging happened from that big collapse. A very interesting metric Tim brought up earlier in the show. But yeah, this is the perfect storm where the demand outpaces supply. That's what we're hoping for out of a finite resource. That's what we're looking for out of Bitcoin and these other systems. So I'm here for it. And,
hey, Alexandra G with the 5 Discover Crypto memberships. Thanks for gifting that. Hopefully you two are at home, not on the road. You're always on the road.
I was going to say, Padrino, Scotty Swing, Enso Mining, Anna Strong. We got one more coming. You guys are enjoying. Right after the show, we jump into our members Q&A. So you guys will get to be a part of that. So look forward to it.
All right. And I am feeling pretty bullish. Now, I'm not saying it is BlackRock for sure, peeling off all the Bitcoin from Coinbase. But if BlackRock and their cronies were obtaining all this Bitcoin, this is exactly what it would look like. So there's a strong probability that, what we're seeing is very, very bullish action for the Bitcoin ETFs, potential approval. I'm not thinking today. I'm still coming in on January 10th. We are going to talk to James momentarily on that. But I think it's time, maybe before we get that, we got about 6 minutes or so before he's supposed to come in. People want to look at the charts and people want to know, are there any trades to be had? What is going on in the markets right now? Don't worry. I'm in the trade now. I'm down a sandwich, folks. I am down a sandwich, but don't worry. We're going to watch this. I want to keep the streak alive. I have low leverage here. This might be the long Cardano long, like the long. Like one of those Tom Crown crypto longs.
Yeah, that's to be fair. I actually last night entered some longs as well on both Bitcoin and Cardano. Now, of course, my Bitcoin one is actually still doing pretty well right now. Cardano, I'm down. Did not think it. We keep going lower and lower with where the liquidations are. When I purchased last night around 54 cents, we cleared all the long liquidations at that point. We've created some new ones. People just like me, but the good news is mine. I only have it on 2x. I'm going to ride that sucker for a while. To the upside, or at least the next couple of weeks. Looking for the
nice.
I'm looking for the 75 to 80 cents. Alex G gave another 5. Then now we just got Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. He just took all of his money off of his own entity and purchased memberships here. on.
Is that why all the
Discover
Bitcoin's
Crypto.
disappearing from Coinbase? He's selling it to give out memberships.
He needed liquidation to buy memberships. Yes, that's exactly what we have happening here. So thank you so much. All these names, love seeing all of you guys.
we got the best. We're not going to read them all, but people,
Yeah.
we only have a little bit of time for James jumps on.
Yeah.
Let's get into the charts, man. And I'm right here about to break into the green on this trade, man. I'm watching this thing.
Let's look at this. We'll start off with Cardano, and then we'll move to Bitcoin after Seyfartt. The good news that if you are looking at a potential long on Cardano, we have a bullish divergence forming right now. Of course, even though we had a wick last night. So on last night, the wick, or not last night, this is 2 days ago. The big wick from 2 days ago went all the way to 46. Either way, candles were closing closer to 54 cents. We just closed an hourly candle down here, literally about an hour ago. Okay, now we're about to close a white candle here. We closed at 52.6. That means we set a lower low and get the RSI, the MACD, the Luxembourg oscillator also, which by the way is printing a green reversal triangle right there. You'll love to see it. They're all saying we have bottomed out. Bullish divergence is one of the big reasons I would be bullish on Cardano right now. Strong bullish divergence, which is a reversal indicator. So again, did I hit the exact perfect bottom? Sawtooth hiker? No, I didn't, but thank you for those memberships. We are, though, looking at a good spot here. And of course, things are going to follow Bitcoin with all of the bullishness coming into Bitcoin. Do not be surprised to see crypto as a whole, except for the contrarian ones, have a big day-to-day.
We got the CEO dropped another 20. Watch out.
gracious.
The Coinbase CEO said he sold some Doge. So be careful out there.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, no, I mean, we're going to save more for after Seyfartt, but I said this yesterday. It's actually, I'm somewhat impressed with myself even. Yesterday, I put out on Twitter, I said, guys, look for volatility to happen today. At certain moments, you're going to think we're shooting a 50,000 today. Other moments, you're going to think we're going back down. I put my levels here for Cardano. I said we were going to pull back all the way back to 54. For Bitcoin, I said we were going to pull back all the way to 42,450. Well, the wick we had last night, some of you might have gotten liquidated if you were in some Bitcoin longs, wicked almost perfectly down to the exact spot that I called. And here's what sucks, DZ.
You didn't have a market order to go ahead and capture that.
The limit order.
Sorry.
And it was crazy is it happened in 2 minutes. If you go to the 1 minute chart, which I know you love 1 minute charts, let's go back
Hey,
here.
I feel attacked. Nothing wrong with that.
Let's go back here and look on Bitcoin. Look at this. So we're hovering here. Yeah, we've started falling a little bit, but we're all the way up here at $44,000 in 2 minutes. I got to zoom out here just a little more. In 2 minutes, we fell from $44,000 all the way to 42.4, and then immediately shot back up. Within the next minute, we'd gotten back up as high as 43.2, and of course started to make our surge here. Lots of volatility coming into a day that's going to be very bullish. Right now, this is shakeout time. They're going to shake you out. They want to take your Bitcoin. They want to take your crypto. They want you to feel like maybe you can't trust any of this bullish information. We have a nice level of support rising right now. We're retesting it. This is, in my opinion, not financial advice, just what I'm looking at with my money, the great time to be going and entering before that next explosive move to the upside. Could it be another 50%? Who knows? That would just, 50% from here, DZ, would put us at $61,000.
I'll say there's another slight bullish thing. This doesn't work every time. It's kind of like TA, like 80% of the time, this is good. Tether is slightly below $1. And that means there's people just dumping their Tether right now. What does that mean? Why would you dump your Tether? Because you're trying to get some Bitcoin. You're trying to get some Ethereum. Yep. And so, Tether, $2 billion print at the same time. People are like, take my Tether off of me. I need to get some of these assets.
Yep.
I would say that's pretty bullish. All right, let's look at the crypto markets real quick before James jumps in. Bitcoin down about 1.6%. Ethereum down 2.5%. Solana down 6%. And XRP down 4%. But look at Cardano, 8% right now, below 53 cents. Avalanche down 8% as well. So we're seeing a lot of bleeding in some alts here. ICP down 12%, but still up 35% for the week. So I don't feel bad about jumping into ICP. All right, now let's look at some winners, though. Osmosis is up 5.8%, and Caspa up two of Nick Dimondi's favorite coins. And, we do like these two coins as well. OKB is up. Then after that, folks, we're pretty flat. But if we look at the big losers, Say is down, but again, very, very positive week. Same thing with Aster, like we're seeing with ICP. So some of the coins with the really strong weeks are seeing the stronger pullback, but that's to be expected when people are going to take, heavy profits. Bonk getting bonked as well. Mina Protocol getting bonked as well. Some of these have been on your radar. Maybe start looking. I would look at some slightly lower entries. Filecoin is down as well. Near Protocol is down. ARB is down, but look at that green week. You're looking for the cheaper ARB. Now you can get in below $2. You like ARB below $2. If I go to the max chart here.
Yeah. We're going to talk about this later, but ARB is one of the coins that we had. What he didn't even win, but one of our contestants who got close to winning the trading challenge for Blofin made a killing on ARB this week. Very
was that the
volatile
700% or 400?
We had three. I'm just going to spoil this. We had three different people go over 700% in trades this week. Hotly contested competition. Cannot wait to see what it looks like in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, ARB was used as one of them, and it did really, really well. But it does look like we have our special guest in the wings waiting on us.
James, how are you doing? You're looking sharp in the vest, as always. James, man, I've been following your content for a while, and I feel pretty good. I was hitching my wagon to the James and Eric horse. You guys said, no, ETF, it was a very unpopular opinion. And you say, hey, here is why we feel 90% likely approval odds. And I read your thesis, and I was reading what you're putting down. I was picking it up, and I'm looking around. I was like, why isn't everyone agreeing with these two people? And so how are you feeling right now? Is your right shoulder sprained from patting yourself on the back?
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of wild because, like you said, we were very out of consensus when we were putting those things out a few months ago. We were getting ridiculed, like saying you're ridiculous for thinking that Gary Gensler is ever going to approve one of these things. So yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Ironically, I'm working from home today because I pulled my hamstring, so my shoulder's not. Oh,
so it was from the victory lap.
But I actually
you pulled it from the victory lap, James. That's okay.
Hey, no victory lap yet. I'm waiting until the fat lady sings before I take any victory lap.
Hey, man, I'm going to be 40 this year. Yeah, it's that time where you guys start stretching, James.
I literally was like, I should probably warm up and do some more dynamic stretching. I'm 32 and I hadn't played soccer in a few months, and I was like, nah, I'll be all right. 11 minutes in, done.
I know we got this wonderful ETF analyst, but now I'm just like wanting to go off on a tangent. Tim, you're 32?
No, I'm 29.
29. Okay. Well, this man, he's like deadlifting 650. So if you need any hamstring stretching tips, shoot Tim a DM, everybody. And that goes for everybody. Shoot Tim a DM about hamstring tips. But James, I want to talk about the ETF news. There's a couple questions on my mind. One, a lot of people are wondering about the $10 million seeding from BlackRock. I'm hearing different things. Some are saying this is why it's bullish. Some are saying this is why it's bearish. And at the same time, I'm seeing Tether printing $2 billion. I don't think BlackRock and those entities would use Tether by any chance. But also, I'm seeing massive withdrawals from Coinbase, which is their custody participant there. Is there anything happening that we should be worried about with these seedings? I mean, are there secret buys happening in the background?
Yeah, so this is a complicated question. So first of all, I think people are paying a little bit too much attention to the seeding. It does matter, and it is what the fund is going to start out with. But something that BlackRock has done with ESG ETFs in the past is they'll seed with a number like this, 5 million, 10 million. And then on day one or day two, they'll pour hundreds of millions or not $1 billion into an ESG ETF that come from, for example, a Finnish pension fund from Finland. It's not necessarily that looks better on the screen because all of a sudden you have the volume from those things being traded. You have inflow, and it's not just seed capital. So you have a lot of money coming in. So it looks better to do it on day one or day two rather than do it before it even launches. So I would say that's one thing I would look out for. Now, this is not me saying that BlackRock's going to put $1 billion into this thing, but believe me, I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying there could be more money than just the 10 million sitting there. But these numbers we're talking about are pretty standard. Bitwise has now said they're going to do their seed up to 200 million. So that's the significant seed capital. But a lot of people haven't even said what they're doing, and who knows how many of them have clients that are waiting to buy these things. As far as your question about, are they buying this already? No, I don't think so. I mean, I know a lot of people out there are like, are you kidding me? You don't think they're out there buying Bitcoin and ahead of their approvals that they know is happening? Look, that's not how these things operate, right? For example, I know for a fact I go to the Ethereum Futures ETFs launches that happened in October of this year. Those things were approved or ready to go essentially on like a Friday. I was very confident they were going to get approved. But they bought the futures on Friday, right? So Friday, end of day, and then they listed and opened on Monday morning. They'll buy this stuff. They'll buy Spot Bitcoin like a day, maybe 2 days before it launches potentially, but it's not like they're loading up on this stuff weeks before these things begin trading. So right now I'm targeting, I think these things could begin trading like the week of MLK. So January 16th-ish, January 17th, 18th. I think that's the week that we see these things actually begin trading, but I'm still looking for approvals to happen January 8th to 10th. So there's been a lot of news outlets like things are happening this week. It's going to happen this week. And I have never been in that camp. And it looks like I'm going to be vindicated and not jumping on that bandwagon there.
No, James, that's actually really interesting. I thought I was reading somewhere, and of course you were going to know this better than me, but I thought I was reading that once we actually get the approval from Gary, let's pretend we get it on the 10th, his last day. He loves to kick things to the last minute. I was reading that it was going to take probably at least a month before they're actually operating. But from what you're just saying, it sounds like just a couple of days. Could you speak a little more to that? What is the process that has to happen after Gary says, check mark, you're good, let's go ahead and run with it? What has to happen between that and then people actually trading on that exchange?
So there's actually two finish lines. There's two check marks that you need to get from Gary. So the one that everyone's focused on, the one that I care most about, the one that I've been covering for the last few years, every time you hear about these deadlines and the SEC is delaying or denying or approving, well, not approving, they haven't approved, but you know what I mean? Anytime you hear any of that stuff, it's under this process called the 19B4. And that's basically just a rule change from the exchange. And in this case, the rule is we want to list spot Bitcoin ETFs, right? So that deadline is January 10th. That needs to be approved before anything can list, but also the S1s, which are known as like prospectus, offering documents, registration documents, whatever you want to call them, those also need sign off. So those 19B4s get sign off from the Division of Trading and Markets. They're worried about things like fraud, manipulation, fair markets. That's what they're focused on. Whereas the S1s need sign off from a separate division, which also reports up to Gary, called the Division of Corporate Finance. So they don't have a deadline on those S1s. So that's why you're hearing people saying a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I don't think it will take that long. That said, it's possible that it could take that long, right? So you need both approval of the 19B4 and you need approval of the S1 before these things can list. So once both those things happen, watch out, probably within 24 hours, once you see the S1s go effective, we could see these things begin trading.
All right, we're mentioning seeding, we're mentioning S1s, we're mentioning tickers. Were you surprised by the crypto native audience, their willingness to dive into the weeds of ETFs? I mean, is this something that you would see with gold, real estate, or other equities?
No, this is a one-of-one situation. I think part of it is both the crypto community, which again, I've been following crypto Twitter since 2017. So like people just started following me recently. So I know exactly how all this goes down and how it works. So I think part of it is just the community's interest in all of this and they're willing to go down these rabbit holes. And the other part of it is like, there's so many, the media cares because there's so many, it's high levels of government deciding this. There's deadlines, there's billions of dollars at stake, or at least millions of dollars, the largest asset managers in the world. There's politicians at play. It's a fun story to cover, right? It really is. Like I'm lucky enough to have the expertise to really put stuff here, but this is a one-of-one situation for all of those reasons. Like the gold ETF launched in 2003, 2004. It was not like this at all. And I think part of it is because these things have been denied for so long and crypto community wants to see it happen. A lot of issuers are trying to make it happen. But yeah, now this is a one-of-one situation and it's been fun. I never thought I'd be like in the weeds here explaining how 19B4s work and decision deadlines and all these different things to massive amounts of people, but no one's really cared about anything like this before.
No, James, I think that's really good. And of course, the natural question most people are asking, and I'd love to hear your thought on it. I'm gonna set this question up for you. So historically in Bitcoin, I know you said you've been following crypto now since 2017. So you've been here. You've been around the block now with crypto. We've never seen this pre-halving run of the bullish trends not have at least a 40% pullback. But from what you're saying, it sounds like this is going to be very different. Like one of the things I've talked about in the past is it's really hard to compare this to anything but the gold ETF. And of course, the gold ETF, it had a spike after the approval, then a 10% pullback, which for gold was pretty big. And then like a 9-month period where the price just traded sideways before the real excitement happened. What are your thoughts about Bitcoin's price action? Do we buck that trend? There will be no grand pullback. Do we shoot up to new highs Q2 of this year? What are your thoughts about Bitcoin price action after this approval happens?
So before I answer this, I will say I'm not allowed to talk about price, technically
Darn it.
speaking. But no, I can answer this question because I think the gold ETF is the best like analogous situation to look at here, right? I think
Yeah.
that is the way that we should be looking at this. The problem is it's not the same, right? What gold ETFs did is they democratized investing in gold, right? For the most part, if you wanted gold, you had to go down to your pawn shop or some metals trader on the corner before 2003, 2004. There was no way to get that in a portfolio. There's no way to do that from your phone. It was just a very inefficient market. It democratized investment and allowed people to put it in their portfolios. It's not exactly the same with Bitcoin because you have Coinbase, you have Kraken, you had FTX and Binance, what have you. Like anyone who really wanted exposure, the retail crowd, that probably was part of the reasons why gold did that. And the other problem is you got to remember when gold ETFs launched, that was like right before the great financial crisis. So the massive run up that people keep talking about in gold was like when everyone was afraid of the entire banking sector collapsing. So it's also not the best like analogous way to look at it as far as performance goes. That said, it is a big deal. So like I was just on Bloomberg TV and I was playing the opposite end of this. And I was saying when I talk to the crypto crowd or Bitcoin crowd, I end up like having to like downplay this a little bit. But when I talk to like Bloomberg or like traditional finance outlets, I end up like playing it like this actually matters, because what it means is right now is like advisors have trillions in assets. And if you look at institutions, they can't just hold whatever they want to hold. They have restrictions on what they can and cannot do. And in many cases, they have to hold securities. In this case, you can't hold Bitcoin if you're a pension, an endowment, what have you, whatever institution we're talking about here. They really have no way to hold this thing. And putting it in a spot ETF will allow them to do this. Also, advisors, they don't like futures ETFs. They roll, they have high costs. If you look at the Bitcoin futures ETF, they've underperformed spot Bitcoin by 10-ish%. So what this is going to do is allow the opportunity for people to invest. So I don't think this is going to be some day one billions of dollars are flowing into these ETFs, right? But I think over the long term, what this does is it opens the total addressable market of investors. Because all of a sudden, if an institution, and I'm not saying CalPERS or these massive, many, many $billion institutions are like chomping at the bit to buy Bitcoin, right? They're not, that's not the case. But at some point down the, I can't even think of the word I was trying to say, but at some point, if they do want to invest, this is likely how they would do it, right? They're going to use the ETF. So this just opens the addressable market, and specifically for advisors. So if you look at advisors, you can look at a range or brokers, what have you. This is the way that they're going to do it. If their clients want Bitcoin, this is the way that they'll get exposure. So there is a lot of like bullish theses around these things launching. Obviously, like I don't think that's that crazy of it. That's obviously like the blatant thing to say here, but I also think there's a little bit more hype than there probably should be. But I'd be happy to be proven wrong here.
Well, I would like to, calculate what is hype, what is, 4-year, because I want to look at gold as a previous example. So we had the gold ETF launch. It was November 04. Took about 6 months, and then gold had a 8-year bull run. Now we're talking about 3 years before the great financial crisis. How much of that 8-year bull run could you contribute to, say, the ETF versus, the banking collapse? I mean, did the ETF do some of that heavy lifting, or was it negligible?
Anyone saying the ETF approval didn't have an impact there is lying to themselves and to anyone else. So fun fact, the largest ETF in the world is the first ETF to have ever existed, SPY, the S&P 500 ETF from State Street. There is only one ETF in history that ever eclipsed it, and it did it for like 2 days in 2011, and that was GLD, which was partially due to flows and partially due to the performance that we're talking about. So it's undoubtedly both of them. I'm not going to pretend to know how to decipher how much was one or the other, but I would argue that more of it definitely had to do with the GFC than anything else. That said, I don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin. I think the bigger impact, the impact that we've seen leading up to this so far, is more about what the ETF approval says about what the SEC and how the SEC is viewing Bitcoin and what they're willing to do here. And whereas I don't think necessarily everyone's like, oh, everyone's trying to front run the institutions. I don't think there's going to be like $100 billion flowing into this thing, right? To put this in perspective, we're talking about gold and what the gold ETF did, and everyone's talking about, I've seen numbers out there about 150 billion, 200 billion are going to be in these things within a couple of years. Gold ETFs, like we've been talking about, have been around since 2004. They have $96 billion in assets. Like that's significant. That's a lot of money. We think these things could get 1 to 2% of ETF assets over the longer term, like say 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Right now, the ETF world is around 8 trillion, I think. So that would be 80 billion 80 to 100 billion over the long term. But I don't think that's happening like day one, year one. What you have to realize is all those advisors I talked about, those institutions I spoke about, sure, some of the smaller ones, if they really want Bitcoin exposure, they've been waiting for a spot ETF, which those people do exist, those advisors do exist. They might go in very early on, day one, first couple weeks, what have you. But the large platforms where like these advisors and brokers work, there's lists of what they can and cannot buy, right? So they can buy, this is the okay list, this is you need express approval for some reason, and this is the do not buy. These Bitcoin ETFs are not going to get on the express approval list from day one when they launch, right? Like that's just not going to happen. They're going to do their due diligence. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes they want a specific length of track record, no matter what it is. So they might say, we're not doing anything until there's a year, 3 years of track record. They might need a certain level of AUM in these things before they even consider them. So there's all these other characteristics. So that's why I say long-term, I think maybe the market might be understating the impact of these things and how much money is in the world that would use an ETF. But I think short term, they might be overestimating how zealous these traditional financial institutions would be to actually invest in Bitcoin.
I want to follow up on that because you're bringing up advisors. And yeah, there's just a Bitwise survey that came out. 88% of advisors said they would, say, hey, yeah, let's get some Bitcoin exposure. So 9 out of 10, essentially. You got 9 out of 10 saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to advise, yeah, we should add Bitcoin. Well, maybe only 1%. But my follow-up would be only 39% believed it would be approved in 2024. So it seems like, we have only about a third are thinking it's going to happen. If we get that approval, do you think, we're maybe underplaying or the advisors are underplaying the impact here?
So 100%. So that 88%, I don't think that was a subset of the advisor survey that were like interested in crypto. I don't know exactly what that was. I looked at the report.
Yeah, you're correct. It's only 1 out of 5 saying, it's, those who are interested in the 88%, 19%, would advise unprompted.
Yeah. Yes. So also what's interesting in there that is kind of a negative to the Bitcoin ETF is that the number one thing that advisors want to invest in is like equity linked crypto ETFs. They want to invest in those like equity linked things. That said, I agree with you 100%. I was shocked. I tweeted about this actually. I was shocked to see how low like 39%, like you said, didn't think it was going to happen this year, which like, obviously I've been at 90%. We went on the record 90% in October, and we were at 50% the minute BlackRock launched. And then we were at 75% a little bit after that. So I'm shocked to see advisors not paying attention to this. I've been in these meetings with advisors, like as recently as last month, I spoke at a Bitwise events with 25 different advisors who just thought this wasn't happening. They were just like trying to get up to speed on understanding what Bitcoin was. And they were like, wait, you're telling me this could happen in 2024? So yeah, and that's people that willingly went to a Bitwise lunch to learn about crypto ETFs, right? So there is definitely a gap here, but also we'll see what happens over time, right? For the most part, advisors, they tend to be an older crowd. And they don't seem to be, if you look at that survey, they just don't know what's coming and they don't understand. So there is a lot of room to run. So like the main thing that people were replying to that was like, and everyone's saying it's priced in, which I think is a fair question, because if that many advisors, and they're the main people that are going to be targeted with these ETFs, don't think it's happening and aren't ready for it to happen, maybe it's not as priced in as people have been saying.
Yeah, 39%, we're looking at barely over a third. But I know you're very busy, and I have a final question for you. I don't even know if you can give an answer on this one because it is speculation territory. Don't worry, it isn't price. Seems imminent that we're going to get a Bitcoin ETF approval, Q1, or at least this year. After that, it looks like Ethereum ETF is next in line. Everybody is wondering, though, what is going to be the third crypto asset? You have one contingent, the Ripple community. They are certain it's going to be XRP because it's going to take over banking. Ripple Labs IPO founding equity holders are like, no, let's not have that happen. Then you got other people going to say Solana due to its close connection to VCs. Then you got decentralized crowd. They're going to want maybe a Cardano. Can you throw out any kind of bold proclamation of what you think could possibly be the third crypto ETF?
I'll say two things on this. One, I am publicly in the camp that I think Ethereum will be next, and that's not that crazy to say. I think we could see approvals potentially by May. I think the approvals might happen this year. That said, nowhere near as confident as I am on the Bitcoin ETFs. That said, anything else probably isn't happening anytime remotely soon. We either need a new administration, so Gary can't be at the SEC, or you need a literal act of Congress. Like people joke about like, oh, you need an act of Congress to get that done. You might literally need an act of Congress to get another ETF out there. Look, the process so far has been list futures with the CME that are regulated by the CFTC, then get a futures ETF, and then get a spot ETF. That's what it's looking like the process will be, assuming we do indeed get these Bitcoin ETFs like we've been saying and like we're still expecting. There are a few things that like could happen that potentially could trip us up, which I'm just like, keep me awake at night. But there's no other futures that are trading and regulated by the CFTC yet, aside from Bitcoin and Ethereum. So, and also my view here on Gary Gensler has been that I view him as kind of like pivoting on Bitcoin. He's always pivoted on Bitcoin. He would willingly say that Bitcoin is a commodity and not a security. He wouldn't do the same for Ethereum, but he also won't call Ethereum a security. So I think basically, since all this stuff has happened since the summer, I've changed my view to thinking, okay, I think the SEC and Gary are basically pivoting on Bitcoin and Ethereum and saying, all right, it's not worth it to fight this. If they start calling Ethereum a security, they're not only going to have to deal with the crypto industry, they'll also have to fight with their sister agency in the CFTC. And I know everyone's going to talk about Howey tests and things like that, but I just don't think they're going to do that on Ethereum. But everything else, I just way down the line. We need, if we see one of those that you named, Ripple, Solana, Cardano, what have you, get futures that are listed with the CME and regulated by the CFTC, that would be the next bet. If I had to like throw my hat in a ring on one of them, I'd probably guess on Solana. But I really don't know that. I think anything else is an order of magnitude different from Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're completely all on their own as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Well, thank you, Heinemann emails. I'll say that. All right. Well, James, I know you're busy. I will say I am fully vested in this narrative now, James. This is just going to be the blooming of Bitcoin's price. It's the tip of the iceberg. And if you're going to have some intelligence, you're going to be watching what James and Eric is putting out there. But James, it's always a great time getting to talk to you. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming by the channel. Tim, anything you wanted to say?
No, I was going to say, can you send us some of those sweater vests?
I'll wear it.
Yeah.
It'll look good with my turtleneck. I'm down.
Go.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, James, I appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
I know
guys.
you're a very, very busy week for you.
Yeah. Next week should be busier, I hope. You should hope too.
I should hope so. All right. All right, James, thank you very much. All right. Smart guy. Smart as a crack there. Great chance talking to him. Smash the like for this alpha. Let's break 300 as soon as possible. If you like us, getting some of these exclusive interviews. And I just talked to a Cardano protocol founder. It's Iagon. I'll go ahead and say it. I was talking to him yesterday. Just make sure, he's overseas. I just want to make sure, communication skills in English are up to par for our audience here. So hit that like button if you like seeing all this. You heard the man, says Jody Breeze. So, well, the second sentence isn't quite what he said. Solana ETF is coming for sure. Not what he said. Not what he said at all. He's saying if he had to guess, it's orders of magnitude less likely. It would be way, way down the line. And given all that, if he had to guess, he would say maybe Solana. I wouldn't take Solana ETF coming for sure. All right, it's 100% certainty. All right, well, great guess. I agree, D-Gen. Kelly, make sure you check out Kelly in the lab. IAG, better Filecoin. Good assessment there, Chef. All right, let's get right into it. Any comments on that from you two, James?
No, I thought it was great. Yeah, world of knowledge right there. It's interesting. I still... he wasn't allowed to answer price action. I was going to ask him to blink twice.
I've done enough ATB to know. I didn't. I was like, oh God, what's he going to say? But he was very tactful about it.
I still feel, because of the cycle we've had, I still feel like we will see a pullback of some kind. Now, the question is it end up getting all the way to 40% or more? Maybe we break that cycle. But he does make a compelling case to potentially sit here and say, you know what? I might not want to. I might not be preparing myself for a big pullback. I might want to make sure I'm healthily exposed to crypto right now. And the good news is, again, if we don't see a big pullback, that could just mean even higher highs than what you're expecting because of how bullish all of this really is. And last thing I'll say, that's the thing I think I took away. The biggest thing, he talked about how people are probably a little overhyping the short term, but underhyping the long term.
Just kind of like means. Bitcoin in general, I would say. We're all like overhyped in the short term. 2021, $100,000, $130,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We're overhyped in the short term, but we're all probably underhyped in the long term there. Buffalo joke did not go over well. I don't know which. Oh, maybe my stupid vest Bloomberg Intelligence. I don't know. Maybe you're talking about that.
Wow.
Josh is a hoarder and has a lot of stuff to move. Yeah, Josh is moving here. It should be done. Should be wrapping it up around this weekend. So you expect to see him in the next 5
He had a
days.
nice long vacation, a nice relaxing time before he comes and kicks it hard. Full time. He'll be here full time, day in and day out. Cannot wait to have Josh back in the office.
Mark the Shark. James has forgotten more about ETFs than we'll ever know.
It's true.
Yeah, he's definitely knows his ETF news. I mean, there's a reason he's wearing the Bloomberg Intelligence vest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's probably not easy being an ETF analyst for Bloomberg. It's probably highly sought after position. Probably got to be pretty qualified.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about, never mind. It's Drew over there. No, I'm not going to say nothing about how he'd be qualified for that position. I'm not going to do it. Drew knows what I'm saying. All right, this is one of the articles we're referring to. When we're throwing out 88% of asset managers said, oh, I would add the exposure. Those who asked 19% would, try to add it, and only 39%. Let's look at the article here. So they asked 437 U.S. financial advisors. I thought this was House of Congress members. No, that's 455, right? 435. When will Bitcoin spot ETFs be approved? Do they prefer Bitcoin or Ethereum? Only 39% of advisors believe an ETF will be approved, not January 10th, not Q1, for the entire year. So this is why James is saying, could be underpriced because only 39% expect this to happen. So
now, does the article say when they did that study, when they asked them those questions? Did they ask them a month ago? Did they ask them a week ago?
Oh, well, see, you want specifics.
Yeah.
It says recently.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's
specific.
recent.
Yeah.
Reese. Good character from Malcolm in the Middle. I don't know. I was just wanting you to show the article. Reese. Recent. All right. Despite disagreement on the timing, significant 88% interested in purchasing Bitcoin expect the spot Bitcoin ETF to be greenlit. So this, hey, it's almost like we're watching the same movie on two different screens. If you like Bitcoin, 90% think it's the ETF is greenlit. If you're just a normal Joe Schmo, only 39%. They also highlight that the asset access is one of the biggest barriers. Only 20% essentially saying they can purchase crypto from their client accounts. When it comes to choosing between Bitcoin and Ethereum, 71% prefer Bitcoin, a significant increase from 53% the previous year, which is interesting because if they just got into Bitcoin, they're up 3x. If they got into Ethereum, they're only up 2x. And so now it's flipping. So now it makes me more bullish for Ethereum 2024.
Yeah. No, I think, especially with the updates we're getting here later on in Q1 for Ethereum, very bullish there. Now, another thing when we're talking about the ETF, because of course this has been the main topic for the last, 6 months. It feels like ETF. Everything's about ETF for the last 6 months. I think something he said is actually very helpful because at this point, it is very much looking like we are going to see an approval by the 10th. But a lot of people, and I'm in this camp as well, have sat here saying, I want it to happen, but I just can't trust Gary Gensler, right? That's another thing I think that James made a good point about and helped me understand better. I feel better now after that interview that we're going to get an actual approval from on the 10th because there's two different approvals that he has to do. He can approve the first step right now, and then he could wait 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, approve the second step, or he could wait a month or 2 months or 3 months. So Gary actually has a long time within his control before anyone is actually trading on these ETFs.
Oh, Goldman Gary is what they like to call him, the youngest VP at Goldman Sachs ever. So a pretty big accomplishment there. Joshua Sinacero. So always a good day when you get to smoke a good breakfast meat and watch y'all before work. Hey, Josh, hey, man, I hear you, my man. All right, let's talk about this BlackRock seeding real quick. BlackRock 10 million Bitcoin purchase will happen today. Expert says SEC is backed into a corner like a rat. I just threw in that last part on purpose there. So they have no choice but to approve the spending spot Bitcoin ETFs. Finally, we have BlackRock will purchase $10 million worth of Bitcoin today. They had earlier scheduled this for the 3rd. However, they knew it was going to drop. I'm kidding. However, it was eventually postponed to this later date, possibly in a bid to ensure they gain all approvals and be fully compliant, and also wait for that red candle. Again, I'm kidding. BlackRock had revealed how the sum of $10 million had come about in the latest amendments to its S1's filing. Meanwhile, also worth mentioning that their initial seed fund could eventually be outranked. This was what James was just referring to. They could seed their fund with up to $200 million if they eventually get the fund there. James, and make sure you follow James on Twitter here. He's 84,000 followers. Hey, James, give me a follow, man. Come on. All right, let's see here. What do we got after the short? Celsius. We also got some Bitcoin death calls. Don't you like the Bitcoin is dead?
Yeah, you always got to circle back on those.
Yeah, let's do a little obituary. All right, so now this is, I mean, how do you measure this? Are you like measuring every headline? Is it the headlines that, you see an article get repurposed 20 times? Does that count as 20 times? Does it count as once? Well, in 21, it was dead 47 times. 22, the much more bearish year, it was 27 or 47 to 27.
Mm-hmm.
And 23, it kept dwindling. It looks like only 8.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Are we maturing? That's kind of scary. When they stop saying it's dead, that's when I expect the red candle.
Yeah, it's almost like a Jim Cramer type of thing going on there.
Here we have Nugget Rush. I'm just kidding. It's just a giant ad. I don't know why it's so big. 14 out of 2. What do you guys think of this? All right, I have a question for you, chat. Have you ever used Lightning Network? I don't think anyone that works here has used Lightning Network. I've never used it.
No.
Jack Mahler's used it.
I have not.
Well, Lightning Network didn't work through. I did that thing with Gemini where you could get a Gemini wallet and then you have it on your phone, and you could. I went and I got a Chipotle burrito with the Gemini. Does that use Lightning?
I'm not sure, but I want to say it does, but I'm honestly not sure.
If it used Lightning, then I used Lightning once just for a video, just to show I bought a burrito with Bitcoin.
And then you market bought that Bitcoin back.
And then
later.
we did, I think we did analysis too. I think we did the video. This is back when I was at a Coffee and Crypto. It was a fun video, but I think we did math. It's like, if Bitcoin makes it to $100,000, this burrito cost me, I think at the time, based off the price, I think that was probably a $200 and something burrito with my Bitcoin. So
SMA do some charts. I'm interested. Shoot them out. I don't really follow that person's content, but I'm interested in it. The only reason Gary would allow the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF is he doesn't want BlackRock and others taking him and the SEC to court over it. I can see there's maybe a healthy fear of BlackRock. I think that's probably a thing. They do have a record of 575 to 1 when it comes to ETF approval. So I think it's okay to have a healthy fear when you see that as their track record. If you're a boxer, and boxing's not the best analogy, you're going to be pretty old if this is your record. But all right, no, if you're a boxer and it's like 18-24 and it's like bare knuckle, and the person's record is 575 to 1, you should have a healthy fear, a healthy dose of skepticism there. So I think the SEC probably has a healthy level of fear.
That's
for Larry Fink.
A boxer who would have fought 500 fights. That's old boxer.
That's you see, maybe. Well, I feel like back in the day, you do like 10 bouts during your lunch break at the factory.
He was doing a fight every month for his long career.
No, he was like 10 during lunch break. He's like gets down. That's starting at 5 years old. All right. Well, back to Lightning Network here. Let's capture some lightning in the bottle. Let's smash that like button, because every time you hit the like button, you increase the probability your crypto goes up in an actual way, albeit very small. 14 out of 224. Am I reading that correctly? 14 out of 224, roughly about 6% back of the napkin mouth here. Crypto exchanges use Bitcoin Lightning Network. Only 6% use it for transactions. The network shows promise in gaming and gambling, and the integration of stablecoins could transform the stablecoin market. I don't really see GambleFi interested in using Bitcoin, if I had to guess. I think they'd much rather use things with quicker transaction finality. And sure, I know, Lightning Network is quick. Well, you still piggybacked on the 10-minute block time there. Why the adoption journey faces challenge, it has the potential for broader acceptance in the crypto industry. Chat, okay, so Shake and Bake has used it. Nope. Cash App has it. Send friends, free Bitcoin. Okay, so some of you actually have used it. Okay, have used it. I will say this, your motivation to type, if you've used it, is higher than if you haven't used it. Still say the vast majority have not used it. Marathon Digital announced a record level of Bitcoin production. If you guys remember, I was buying stocks December of last year. I actually just want to kind of pull up Mara's stock here. So if we ended up getting some Mara stock in December, I don't know the exact date. I'll go on the high. I'm just going to hit 1 year. Oh my God. If you bought a year ago, you're up 505%. That actually seems kind of low. Yeah, no, that's about right. Yeah, so you're up a nice 6x if you end up buying it. That's been the mining stock. That's about the only one I really talk about. Other people like Riot and others. I've always liked Marathon because they own a Canadian power line or power company. So they announced a record level of Bitcoin production, the mining operations for December 23. they produced 1,800 Bitcoin, increase of 56% compared to November. And they currently hold 15,000 Bitcoin as total cash and Bitcoin value of 1 billion. So check that out. Might be some good pullbacks there. Fed flips hawkish in 24, says U.S. banks may pay the price. This man who predicted the 2008 housing crisis believes the Fed will not cut rates this year, as many expect. I'm going in as counter as this guy. I'm going to say no, they are going to cut rates there.
Yeah.
He believes that the Fed won't start cutting rates this year over continued concerns over rising inflation. I think he's not counting the election. So I'm a firm believer we are going to see cuts earlier than many people are expecting. Then we're going to have really, really good bull action in the stock market, and people feel pretty good come November. Crypto acquisition scandal rocks the GOP. Lawmaker accused of unlawfully obtaining digital assets. This on the heels of Menendez and his gold bars. Raw Story sheds light on the Republican congressman, who violated financial disclosure laws by failing to report 2 purchases within the required timeframes. So we're not looking at like a huge scandal here. You have to show your purchases anytime you make any kind of investment. And it looks like he didn't report within the required time frame. And what did he buy? What was the big secret? He bought some ETH, and he wanted to keep it away from Gary Gensler. So he bought some ETH on October 9th and November 5th. But he didn't disclose them until the 22nd, well past the deadline mandated. You know what it was? It was like late night crypto buying, wasn't it? I think he came home, from the Beltway. He was just at like a little fundraiser. He had some coffee. And he's like, "Oh man," and he bought some ETH. He forgot. I'm not looking at much malicious actions here, though. What's your take here?
Guilty. I don't know. I just
Drew,
the original.
is he sus or not?
That's a tough question, because elected leaders are in power making decisions on what's acceptable to transact within right now, especially within crypto we're talking about. So they're in control of the driving handle, but then also access to the commodity / security, whatever they want to call that'll experience upside or downside depending on what they choose. So that's a tough one to call there, but what I mean?
Fade and Tradfi calls it the 4 a.m. one-eye purchase, though.
Yeah.
We've all been there, right? That's the trade. I used to do I would honestly set my alarm for like 4 a.m. and I would trade China hours.
No, it had actually been frustrating. I woke up this morning, seeing some of the price action and stuff, and I thought to myself, this is now, like, for the last couple of weeks, I feel like some of the most significant moves that have happened that I would have loved to be a part of and be trading have happened whilst I am sleeping.
Oh yeah,
it sucks.
All right.
I should move to China just for the next little bit.
You know what? I think you can live near Moonin Papa, friend of ATB. He lives in Tokyo. Okay, so you take the kid, take Taylor.
Although, and to be fair, actually, thinking of them, we haven't said anything on the show.
You're moving
Japan?
to Tokyo?
No, Japan just had a bunch of earthquakes, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so anyway, if you guys are in Japan, thinking about you, be safe. If you know people in Japan, reach out to them, check on them. I know there's a lot of people without power, so you might not be able to. But yeah, but no, when they settle down, maybe we'll go check out Japan and help with some aid and stuff.
Techno Goody says, live in a closet in Tokyo. I think he has a home larger than a closet. I'll say, I don't know his real estate situation. I'm going to ask him next time he's on ATB. All right. And if you want to follow ATB, go to Around the Blockchain. And folks, we're going to be doing some giveaways. What's the detail with the Blofin? Let's just go right into it before we talk about Celsius unstaking tons of Ethereum, selling it. Is that why Ethereum's not pumping? Before we get into that, though, speaking of pumping, we've had some trades. Let's go phenomenally for some members.
We did. And depending on when we were looking at Twitter, you can go ahead and share my screen here. I'm showing some of the likes that we have here. Crimson Caravan Company. I kind of dealt with this earlier. He was trading ARB. He was in a short on it? What was he doing? Entry? No, he was in a long here. So a long on ARB, which makes sense. 75x.
God, if he was in a short, that's high leverage.
I think he did a short earlier in the week when he had another good trade here. But 75x, listen, I've never traded with 75x in my life.
Oh my God, I didn't know he did 75x.
A risky trader, but it pays off because he's up 702%. So of course, Crimson Caravan Company has to be the winner, right?
700%. I mean, it seems hard to beat that.
You would think.
CCC is like already rubbing his hands. Oh man!
And then our winner from last week, I think last week he was like 247 something
That's
percent.
right, wasn't that high?
Great trade still, but we said, hey, we can do better than this. Eat My Short said, watch this. I'm going to go, so he did a short on ARB this week, 75x. What's with these 75x?
Jesus Christ.
732%. Goodness gracious. So, of course, he's the winner, right?
Yes.
No, he is not the winner. Moon Lambo Elon selling with a 50x ace over USDT.
With a name like that, I mean.
Almost 800%, 792% on that sell. So I want to say congrats to Crimson Caravan Company, to Eat My Shorts. You guys made some money, phenomenal trades. But we got to give it. Moon Lambo Elon killed it this week with 792. I can't wait to see what the next couple of weeks look like because the competition is heating up. We want to make sure, though, because, again, all this was kind of coming at us quickly this morning. We've never specified the timeliness of this. So to make sure everyone's under the same parameters, the cutoff, in case anyone just said, hey, I printed one this morning, the cutoff will always be Friday morning at 12 a.m. So pretty much Thursday night at midnight. So, of course, Friday morning, you have to get your submissions in before that. You have to be signed up with the link down below in our description. If you have Blofin from somebody else, maybe you have it from my Investing Bros account, which is great. That's awesome, but you won't be entered for this. You got to sign up here with Discover Crypto. You got to tag us. That's the other thing is how many of you are trading and then not tagging us. Get it in before midnight, and you could be entered to win $500. So congratulations to Moon Lambo Elon. We're going to be reaching out to you, or actually, we don't even have to reach out to you. Blofin's just going to directly put that into your account. Look forward to this $500. Get to 1,000 next week. Let's see it. Let's see someone with 1,000% gains with the rally that's about to come. I think somebody could do it.
I think someone could do it. Check in on my Blofin trade right now. I'm just up a little bit. I'm up though, so we're in the green. And you know what? Let's just continue the streak, y'all. I'm just gonna continue the streak. Let's just guarantee green. So another green trade on the books, everybody. The streak can't go forever. I will say that. I don't know how long the streak's going to go, but I got a pretty good streak of green trades.
It's definitely the turtleneck.
Metaspawn says,
I'm trying to be Steve Jobs, y'all.
Yeah. Metaspawn says, where do you submit? So go in, make sure, sign up for a Blofin account. By the way, do we still?
I'm working on a Blofin tutorial today.
Don't they still, like when they sign up with our account, they get a free $15 if they deposit?
If you $100 USDT deposit, you get 15.
You get 15. So you start with 115. And then all you got to do, so you'll enter your trade, take a screenshot of this number, just like we were showing you here, put it on Twitter, go on Twitter, on X, and tag Discover Crypto, and you will be entered. We'll screenshot it, we'll grab it, we'll save it to see who else, see if anyone else beats it. But that's how you submit that, Metaspawn. Love to see you next week. Be here in the winning circle.
All right, let's talk about Celsius blowing up ETH's price. Is it their fault? Dang it! Are you selling my 2 ETH? I've talked about this since. Was it 21? This thing blew up. 22. Maybe. I can't even remember when Celsius blew up. So yeah, they stole 2 ETH from me a long time ago. Almost got 50 Avalanche. I remember depositing the 50 Avalanche. Did not put it in the earn account. Just had it like in the funding or whatever it was, and was able to pull off my Avalanche there. Crypto lender Celsius to unstake $470 million in Ether ahead of repayments. They have 206,000 in staking withdrawal queue, according to Nansen. And it looks like, I've seen some rumors and some rumblings that they had been selling some of this ETH here. So it's, like I said, $468 million worth. But there is a queue to withdraw Ether. Remember, there was a while to get into the staking queue. And right now there's a withdrawing process. You got to get in queue to withdraw your ETH as well. Some are worried that this move would dump Ether on the markets. Others suggest it's a positive move in the long run. Definitely going to be some pain in the short run, folks. So just be wary. Ether ETF likely coming as SEC implicitly nodded ETH as a commodity. We just talked to James, so we don't got to go over this article. Rewind if you're just now joining in. We just had James on the channel here. Speaking of ARB, congrats. You're longing it, you're shorting it, you're making good money with it there, those trade on Blofin. Mm-hmm. Well, the Arbitrum Orbit's Layer 3 chains can now use select ERC20 tokens for transaction fees. One of the coolest things I've seen lately, you don't have to use ETH for your gas fee, or if you're trading on Avalanche, you wouldn't have to use Avalanche. If you're trading on Arbitrum, you don't have to burn your ARB. You're trading on Matic. It's a pretty cool feature. It allows you to, depending on what they open it to, is it just Tether and USDC and, maybe a couple other, But when they open it up, I've seen some protocols they allow you to use like the dust, just that crap. You got that $18 worth of doo-doo. Use that instead. Pretty cool feature there.
Yeah.
All right. So Arbitrum got more and more upgrades, I would say. And again, we're pretty big on Arbitrum relative to the other L2s in the space. I'm pretty bullish on them. Well, speaking of L2s, ETH L2 surpassed all other blockchains by TVL with an asterisk. I'm going to talk about the asterisk, and the asterisk involves Cardano. That's right. Yeah, they're shafting Cardano again, everybody. That's all it is. We're used to it, though. Well, the blockchains, ETH L2's just kind of taking all the fanfare right now. And in the first days of 24, the aggregated sum value of ETH L2 TVL surpassed all non-EVM blockchains. While the L2s are responsible for 20 billion in equivalency, the rest of the blockchains amassed 19.6 billion, as noticed by Start today. Me and BJ were just talking about this. If we go to DeFi Llama, I know you guys like the live stuff here, so we're going to do LeFi. No, that's a weed smoking meme coin, probably. LeFi. No, you go to DeFi, you go to chains, and you go down. This is going to be TVL here. Let's see here. I got to go full size, so you might lose some things, and I'll probably bring it back. All right, so we're going to rank by TVL. Looks like it already is. Can you see that? Can you see? Can I scroll
There you
this?
go.
Yeah, but I can't see TVL. Maybe it's on the bottom. If I go to the bottom, yeah, I get the axis here. Love the formatting here on this site here. All right, here's TVL. I got it. TVL. We're leading with TVL. Cardano has over 10 billion natively staked through the protocol. So it's not technically TVL. You still have custody of your assets, but I'm staking through my wallet. So I can go mint an NFT, or I could send Tim 100 ADA, or I could go trade on a perpetual contract anytime.
You can do that after the show, by the way.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. But right now it is staking, and I earn Cardano every 5 days or every one epoch. So they don't count Cardano in this metric because it's so easy. Now, if you're in DeFi on Cardano, it's going to be on there, but Cardano is coming in pretty low. Let's just look at the chains here. We're going to scroll up here. Number one, we got ETH, then Tron, BSC, Arbitrum, Solana, Optimism, Avalanche, Polygon, Base, and then Cardano comes in top 10. Kronos, Manta. Very, very bullish on Manta. Wanted to try to get some Manta content out, but they closed the thing January 1st, and I couldn't get it out in time, so unfortunately. All right, Nansen. Investors turn to these 4 altcoins. Big money flowing into these 4 altcoins. Let's throw out some guesses here. Drew, throw out a guess. Tim, throw out a guess. What's the 4 altcoins big money's betting on? Chat, guess.
Solana.
Okay, Solana.
Wait, is Bitcoin counted? It has to be an altcoin.
Alts.
Does Ethereum?
No, sorry. ETH-based alts.
Oh, ETH-based alts. Oh.
Before someone's like, Tim thinks Solana's on ETH.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about altcoins.
You got one,
Matic?
Drew? Matic. Okay, we got Matic. What do you got?
I think Link is in there.
Okay. Big money.
Yeah,
that
big
should be
money. Beyond that, I think OP.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look right here.
OP would potentially be up there.
All right. Well, Nansen, it's a data analytics site. We got a membership there. So we're looking at this significant inflow into these 4 coins. ENS. Why? Because Vitalik tweeted about it. Bone FIDA is Solana's name service. FIDA, little alpha there. Aave.
Yeah, Aave, that makes sense.
MakerDAO and Polygon. So Matic was on there. So Matic was on there. ENS, though, I still think there's a little arbitrage with FIDA, that's Solana name service. So, just not financial advice. If I were to park $10, I know which one I would choose. Also, ones you can buy it for under $10 with gas fees.
Yeah.
You'd spend more than $10 unless you're using it on an exchange. 4 cryptos to buy now. Beam, Say, Tia. What do they have for the 4th one there? Okay. Then they're talking about some small ones. So we're not going to talk about that. I love those 3 projects, though. Beam, Tia, Say. What do you got?
I got the winner for the $100 giveaway.
Okay, so we're doing the $100 giveaway. Are we going to do that on air or after?
On the air. We gotta let them know.
All right, we'll do it at the end. Thorchain dominating cross-chain trading volume. What's next for Rune? We're pretty bullish on Rune as well, so keep an eye out on Rune. As more and more crackdowns happen for these privacy protocols, expect more and more people to go into the Rune ecosystem, because once you're jumping to chains, you're jumping chains, then it's, obfuscates where crypto comes from, and there's going to be a large contingent of people who like that for whatever reasons. I don't judge. ICP surging Will it enter the top 10? I've seen a lot of people talk about ICP. We've been pretty bullish here. We obviously wanted to wait for the large drawdown. It launched very, very high price. We've talked to the team before. I like ICP. I've been getting some more and more ICP exposure. But I will say this, the opportunity for multiples is shrinking as it climbs the market cap here. It looks like it's the 16th largest by market cap right now. Do you have any ICP, Tim? Do you have any ICP, Drew?
And ICP is one that's kind of shifting in my, a long time ago, I didn't really like ICP because of just some stuff about it. Of course, it was one of those tokens and coins that was going to be part of the justification in my mind for why they would try to kill all the decentralized cryptos. But of course, money is money. And so as I'm seeing the price action go to the upside and I'm seeing the relationships they're building, I am swinging towards a position of saying, you know what, even if I don't love everything they're doing, I like making money. I think this coin can make money. That's kind of where it sits in my brain at the moment.
All right. Well, speaking of liking money, Guy from Coin Bureau says, if you like money, buy Cardano. What? Is he an ADA bull, everybody? Coin Bureau's Guy Turner, but there's a catch, everybody. Now, here's the real story that the article's not saying. Coin Bureau released a Cardano video recently, and they're getting raked over the coals. There's a couple data points that were like 6-month-old, came in a little bit more bearish than the Cardano community would have liked, and they're saying you didn't represent us accurately. If you felt that way, go watch our Cardano video. I will say this Cardano community seemed to enjoy it. So, I feel pretty good about that because that's an easy community to ruffle. Ruffle their feathers. So he's saying it's going to skyrocket. What is the price he is coming in at? We saw altcoins crash in October due to the correlation of small cap stocks. Since October, long-term interest rates have fallen just as quickly. We've seen Zolt is almost a 3x. Its weekly chart suggests we could be in the process of painting a bull flag. If it plays out, we could rally as high as $1, says this guy. Says guy there. So yeah, I like $1. I think a lot of pullback.
Video, though?
Like a week.
Yeah, so it's the same thing I had on the charts. We did kind of, with the more recent fall, kind of break ourselves out of that bull flag pattern. It was actually it was more of a pennant we were in. We kind of broke out. You could still see there's a flag, but that if we hit that $1, we're gonna need Bitcoin to go pretty severely. I think the altcoin season of alts just massively outgaining Bitcoin probably is, for right now, is coming to a close. I still think everything goes up with Bitcoin as it goes up, but that's a tall order. We're talking about almost a 100% increase in Cardano price from the current 53-cent price action. You're going to need a lot from Bitcoin for that to happen.
JH, Cardano and XRP are some of the worst communities in crypto. A bunch of dorks. I like every Cardano convention I go to. I always had a good time there. Please give me Solana updates. Why is Solana in trouble? Move too fast, too quickly. I'll just show you right now. If you look at the 90-day chart, that's really all you need to look at here. We'll just go here. It's going to be number 6. 5. Yeah, it's 5 now. 5, we go to the 90-day. When you look at this chart, it doesn't really look that bad, does it? Does that look like the coin's in trouble, or does that look like healthy retracement? To me, it looks a little bit more like healthy retracement. I think you could say something similar, like right here. Why is it in trouble? And then it just goes off to the races. We do have a slightly lower low. So you know what? But so did we right here. We had a slightly lower low and a slightly lower high. I wouldn't worry about it too much, folks. So Solana, not in too much trouble. I do think other coins will outperform it for 2024. Visa is doing some pretty cool stuff. Web3 branded crypto wallets. So these brands can create custom branded crypto wallets. This is going to be huge for what NFTs are largely going to do with corporations, which I think are loyalty reward programs. The stupid thing they try to get you to scan the thing at the grocery store every time you go there. Well, imagine you got a NFT of a banana that you turn into a free thing of bananas. So I think they're going to want like Trader Joe's wallet, Publix wallet. They would rather use that than Visa wallet to turn in your Trader Joe NFT, Starbucks and all those brands as well. Logan Paul NFT buyback shows celebs can't play around in Web3. Yeah, CoffeeZilla came after him pretty hard there. So, he's giving the money back there. We have these camera makers pitching a new way to fight deep fakes. Instead of watermarking AI images, they propose encoding signatures into real photos as well. Instead, they already have that. EXIF data.
Nick was talking about some internal systems that are already built to do that. So
yeah, EXIF data. Like if anyone who's on 4chan back in the day, remembers that pretty well. So yeah, that's to me that just screams extra data. on your pictures. You know, I mean, they already have time, geolocation, some other features. Now they just want more. So I don't like that. That's how they track. Yeah. I'll keep a close eye on this one. We don't want that at all. We have Microsoft adding a dedicated AI key to the Windows 11 board there. That's, we'll see how that plays out as well. But I think it's time for us to just wrap it to our Q&A.
Oh, we got to get the winner.
Oh, the winner. Let's pick
the winner of the $100. The comment. First of all, the comment came on this video right here on my screen. DZ made a video here just 2 days ago. Go check it out. 30 minutes long, but you're going to want to look at it. Millionaire Crypto Portfolio, where he breaks down what it looks like to make a lot of money here. So go check that out. But the winner was Jason Burt 8631 asking DZ, what are your thoughts on Casper?
Friendly ghost. No, yep. I don't have exposure. I am bullish on the project. I'll say this: it's got a very, very strong community. It's probably going to perform pretty well if we just do the quick assessment right here. One of the things I love looking at this circulating supply 11.6 billion here, total supply 12.2. Got to be careful with the max supply, but normally this is not too big of an issue. Market cap $500 million. Okay, I do like that. 24-hour trading volume's looking pretty healthy. If we go to the max chart, it has a launch that's similar to a lot of coins. Doesn't look like the best launch. If we look at the 1-year chart, though, it looks a lot more bullish, if I remember. Expect some sell pressure right here. There's probably going to be some traders that are going to wait for a confirmed breakout. I wouldn't worry too much about that with Casper. Probably going to be pretty big. And then the last metric, I will look at how active is the team on communicating. Pinned tweet 2 hours ago. I'm just going to stop looking. So it looks like they communicate pretty regularly. Yeah. Oh, also one other, again, not much of a metric for this high of a market cap, but for the lower market caps, this actually does count. When you see a yellow check mark, it means they at least believe enough in their protocol to put, 10K for the yellow check mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10K. So at least they have somewhat of a treasury. Now, when there's a giant market cap, that don't mean jack. But when it's like sub 30 million, they have a yellow check mark. I would say that's a good sign.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That's my thoughts.
There's your answer. Looks like KO Kev had the same question, but congratulations to Jason Burt. Make sure, Jason, if you see this, and we're going to try to get a hold of you as well as we can, but email info@hitnetwork.com and you will get in touch with one of our people and you'll get your $100. DZ, I got to run because I have a meeting, but I know you're about to jump into the members Q&A. We just had a plethora of new members join. If you guys want to be in that Q&A, ask DZ some questions, ask Drew some questions,
man.
Come on in here. Just hit that join button. Join the membership. He'll see you here in just a couple of minutes. The rest of you guys, I'll see you guys next week. DZ, I got to run. I will see you later.
All right, man. Later on. All right. And we'll see the members imminently. Otherwise, folks, have a great weekend and be careful. Move those stop losses into profit. We just turned that trade into a green one. That's all we want for you too as well. But we'll see you Degens in the basement.